What is up, legends? So you guys should have known that this was coming. Award season, so maybe 2 videos this year, but 2 good videos. So it's been a very long year in mobile. And this year has been the year of idle. I went and looked today, and I typed in on Q app, on TapTap, and on Google Play, and the total number of idle games that came out this year, you guys can do the same thing that I just did. The total number was actually 910 just in this year. 900. We made up all types of different numbers, but it was literally, that's the literal number of how many idle games came out in all of the regions. That's all over the world. 910. Now that's probably, I probably didn't even get everything, so it probably is more than that. But for the actual number that I found on Google Play, on Q app, and TapTap was 910. So with that said, it's actually really good overall for us to have just good quality stuff this year. Now what you're looking at is another Eden right now. It can't be in my top 5. It doesn't belong to be there, but this is a very good game that I suggest for everybody. It's very free to play. You can play it offline. It's just one of those games that people don't pay attention to, but it is an excellent game. I just wanted to put it out there. So going into the top 5, Dragalia Lost. Dragalia Lost is number 5, and it is another one of those games that it had a rough middle. And it's really weird to say that it just started out high, everybody loved it, and then Nintendo just lost their goddamn mind at a whole bunch of whack stuff. The developer of the game, not the developer, the producer of the game just did a big statement, say, hey, we're gonna fix it, and they did. But the problem is when you lose the public, you kind of lose the public. So it's kind of one of those games now. It fell a little bit into cult type of game because it has its fans, and really new people aren't really that much paying attention to it. I would like people to pay attention to it because they've actually fixed the game. They give you 10 summons now, literally for a week out of a month. So in a month, you get 10 summons, which is 70 times, plus the free stuff that you get in all the events that they always have during the month. They have like 7-8 events in a month, and just recently they had the Mega Man event, which was really good and just something very much worth actually doing. Black Desert. Now Black Desert Mobile, Black Desert Mobile is just like the game that people wanted to hate on, but it's out and there's nothing to really hate on. It's a solid game. Now people may not like the way that the store is being run, and the store is a little bit strenuous according to how you get your accessories and stuff like that, but it's a good game, and it's too early for it to be number 1. It can't be number 1. It's only been out like what, 15 days now, 14-15 days. It deserves this 4th spot right now in the list. It has a very big Twitch presence, which kind of shocked me. I didn't think it was going to be that much of a Twitch presence, but it is a Twitch presence. It has a very good YouTube presence and a very strong population. It's very competitive and fun because you can play with people and be skill based. Like as you can see right here, we'll be taking on this last boss. It's super skill based, and that's hot. Number 3, Epic 7. Now Epic 7 is another game that it had the gigantic start, and I was a lot to be part of that, and then everybody else kind of like came after me, content creation, and followed behind what I actually did. But then I started to notice the company just went off into a different direction than what the community kind of wanted to actually see the game do. And that's fine because we don't control all of that. But the problem with that is that disenfranchised a lot of the people who used to play this game. And most of the veterans like me who were here in the beginning were like, nah, we're done. Now, I don't fault anybody else, and you know, YouTube is going to do what they're going to do because they can see that something is still getting money even though it's kind of a dead game, and that's kind of what this is right now. This game kind of like globally for everybody is kind of dead, but as far as the community itself, it's like a really good cult game, and it deserves to be in its spot. It doesn't deserve to be number 1, but it deserves to be number 3 at least. Number 2, 7 Deadly Sins. Now this is the JP version, not the global version. The JP, and this is saying a lot, that the JP version is more popular than the other 3 games that I mentioned already, which it just is. And then the IP alone in 7 Deadly Sins is just like ridiculous as a very good anime. But this game is a very good game. It's very well built, and so far the character the cash shop and everything else in the game is not crazy. So I hope they don't come to global and decide that they want to lose their goddamn mind, because the game is perfect the way it is right now. This is a perfect reason right now. And I know this company particularly watches me because I've been in contact with them. If you want money, all you have to do is translate this game. That's it. Just translate it. Keep the cash shop the same. Keep everything the same. Keep the PvP the same. Just translate it. Don't do any other extra bullshit and you'll be fine. That's all you gotta do. And you deserve the number 2. Number 1, Honkai Impact. And the reason why Honkai Impact is number 1, in my opinion, as far as it's literally the most in-depth and has the most features out of any mobile game. This is like 5 different mobile games in one game. And that's literally insane considering that it's smashed into a mobile game, which makes it pretty big on gigs and pretty hard on actual phones that actually run. But as you can see how it runs on PC, it has a bit of a Twitch revival now because it's on PC and people are seeing just how good this game really is and how smooth it runs. This is literally the number 1 mobile game for this year. It really is. At the end of the day, it's still making big time money as far as in the games list and everything else, and there's no one else who has more content than this. Like literally, people could hate, people could say this, that, the third. Oh, what about this game? What about that game? There's no other game that has more content than this. Like you can play this game literally for hours in a day and still not be freaking done. And I'm talking about dailies from the open world dailies, the overall grinding out the parts of your particular Valkyries, which is the girls that right as you can see right here, the stories that they put out literally every month, the side stories that they put out every month, and the extra features that they put on top of the game, not to mention the anime adaptation bringing in to the game right now. So it has lore coming in pretty much the same way that SAO Alicization has the lore coming in. This game pretty much has the same thing like that too. It has no sign of dying. Like this little section right here is just another section into the game on top of everything else. Not to mention the multiplayer that you can play with people in various different areas against raid bosses and world bosses and guild bosses. Not to, we didn't even talk about guild. Like there's just too much in this game for me to put anything ahead of this game. There's no way. There's no argument that you can actually tell me that in any other game that has more content and more solid than this game. Now on the flip side of that, I have to be fair because this game does have the worst gacha. Like the worst. And what I mean by that, it is very hard gacha wise to get it. But I'm gonna tell you why that's not necessarily that much of a problem. I have to be fair and say that it has the worst gacha though. Now, the reason why that's not necessarily a bad thing is because those particular 5 or 6 things that I was telling you about that makes them rare. That means you're not gonna have to deal with them that much if you want to like PvE race or something like that. Or if you're dealing with like a guild type of like, I guess you could say a DPS race or power race, which is what you have to deal with it like that in this type of game. So it's not necessarily that bad that the things that are necessarily paid for that you don't automatically get it just because you pay for it, because that's kind of like a little bit cheap. Now, again, that's not pay to win. That's just you gambling at the end of the day. And if somebody wants to gamble with very bad odds and then they somehow get that character, then, GG. Pays for the game. I can play on a nice server thanks to that nice person who was spending money. And that goes for any of these games that you like. Don't put the stigma on the guys who are paying for it because you're not paying for shit. So you have no right to judge like that and just be mad at people. I don't even like, if you remember, I don't like, and you don't see me, you say it a lot, I don't like calling people whales. I think it's disrespectful. I think it's disrespectful to call people free to play or pay to win. That's why I changed it. I changed it to casual and hardcore because I think those are disrespectful terms now. I think it's being used disrespectfully. I know people, the people who are whales don't mind being called that, but majority of the time when people are calling somebody a whale, they're disrespectful of them, saying, oh, you scumbag whale, you're just cheesing and everything else. And I don't like that. I don't like, you shouldn't make anybody feel bad who's technically paying the bills for your game. That's just my opinion at the end of the day when it comes to that. People can feel differently like that, but I'm not about to facilitate the public or even this community, if I have a platform on it, to just disrespect people who are literally helping you play. That's not fair. So um, at the end of the day, this has been a very good year. Very, very good year. And like I said, I can't put anything but Honkai at number one. There is no game on the market right now that has more content than this game. Black Desert might get there. Black Desert Mobile literally might get there in time, and the KR and JP versions are getting there at that time. The global version is not there, which is why it's at 4 right now. But it was pretty much a shock to me and all of this, and that's why it's on the list, because originally Black Desert was high. I was like, I'm not putting it on the list. But then I looked at Twitch, then I looked at YouTube numbers, and then I looked at on the Google Play numbers. I go, damn, this is kind of like on fire right now. I can't ignore it. I would like, if it's not on the list, it's not going to be valid at this point. So I got to put it there. And it booted, and I know a lot of people are going to not like that, but it booted Summoner's War, because I was actually going to have Summoner's War at 5, because Summoner's War is actually still hot. And another game that's actually was a little bit hot for a little while is Clash Royale. Clash Royale kind of cooled off hardcore. It just massively cooled off. And Ulala, which is the idol game, which shocked everybody. That could have been number 5 as well. That cooled off big time as well. So they get honorable mentions right now, though. But you know, I wanted to be fair according to the criteria I was using, which was Twitch, YouTube, Google Play, the numbers and stuff like that, and the active communities, and that's how I pretty much made this list right now. And just the overall content in the game. And I really don't think anybody can really argue that, you know, anything else has more content and more solid than Honkai is right now. So I'll catch you guys next video. It's been a wonderful year. Happy New Year. And hopefully some of these games that you have played or you are playing, or maybe you'll get into it just because I showed these games off, and you'll have some fun with them, because all of them deserve to be played. They're all really good games, and technically they can all be number 1 at the end of the day, but somebody has to be number 1. So happy New Year, be legendary, peace.